Our book today is Quit? Not Me. It was written by Raymond and Dorothy Moore, and it was illustrated by Julie Downing. Every Tuesday, I take care of my little brother Jamie after school. Mom has this class she goes to at the Y. But this Tuesday, I forgot. My friend Davy and I got to shooting baskets in the alley. Suddenly, I remembered, and Davy and I took off. Jamie will be scared, I worried. When we reached my house, Grandpa Bush leaned over his porch railing. Jamie is over here, John, he called. His friend, Grandpa Ray, was on the porch too, with Jamie on his lap. You've forgotten me, Jamie sobbed. I was scared. Before I could say I was sorry, Grandpa Bush lit into me. You can't depend on anybody these days, especially kids. Grandpa Ray dried Jamie's tears. Not like the good old days, he said. Our folks could depend on us. The grandpas were ganging up on me, so I defended myself. Everyone forgets once in a while, even adults. But Grandpa Bush kept it up. I'll bet neither of you boys can do what you're told for one whole day, let alone for 1 hour after school. Sure we can, I said without thinking. We can do anything for one day. At that, Grandpa Bush slapped his knee. Is that a promise, young fella? Grandpa Ray and I can think up a humdinger of a test to see just how prompt and dependable you are. I don't know, Davy stammered. I promise, I boomed. I really thought Grandpa Bush was joking, but 2 days later he called from his yard. It's all set for tomorrow. Be on my porch at 8 o'clock sharp. Being on time is part of the test. Grandpa Ray told Davy the same thing. Why do they want us so early? Davy asked. What will we have to do? There's only one way to find out, I said. Be there. I like to sleep late in the summertime, but I couldn't quit before I even started. I made it to Grandpa Bush's front steps at exactly 8. On the top step, I found a note under a brick. This might be fun, I thought. I like surprises. Then I read the note. Weed your mother's garden, it said. When you are done, look in the bird feeder. Oh no, I hate weeding. I kicked a can as I clomped home. The weeds in the garden were taller than the plants. The soil was wet from an early morning rain. It wasn't fair. My neck was aching after I'd weeded only half a row. My shoes and pant legs were caked with mud. I was ready to quit when I saw a fat, wiggly earthworm under a leaf. Then I saw 2 more. Mr. Long pays 50 cents a dozen for fishing worms. I went back to the house to get a big plastic bucket. Each time I uncovered an earthworm, I dropped it in the container. By the end of the 4th row, I had 4 dozen worms. and the weeding was done. I felt good. I could hardly wait to tell Davy I had found $2 worth of worms while keeping my promise. Then I took the second note out of the bird feeder. Clean Grandpa Bush's garage, the note said. When you are done, go home and eat lunch. Clean the garage? I should have known the second job would be harder than the first. Grandpa Bush's garage was full of junk. He parked his old truck in the driveway. I'd just opened the garage door when Grandpa Bush got in his truck. I've got business downtown. Do a good job, he said. I fumed as I watched him drive off. Why couldn't he clean his own garage? I sat down on the barrel. I could just picture Davy over at Grandpa Ray's. Grandpa Ray kept his garage clean as anything. I began by moving stuff out on the driveway. Then I pounded some large nails into the wall studs for hangers. Shovels, rakes, brooms, ropes, and hoses. I hung things up and out of the way as fast as I could. Some of the other stuff was really interesting. In one corner, I uncovered an old popcorn popper. It had a round pan with a wire cover and a long, long handle. My dad liked to tell about popping corn in the fireplace when he was a boy. Next, I discovered a large wooden pail with a crank handle. Faded letters on the side spelled ice cream. The things I couldn't hang up, I stacked in piles. Magazines and papers went in one pile. Old rags and rugs went in another. At last, I swept the dirt out the front door. I had never worked so hard in my whole life. Good job, I thought as I closed the door, and now I was supposed to go home for lunch. My stomach was ready for that. But when I opened the bread box, there it was, another note. Clean up the kitchen, it said. At 3 o'clock, right out to the old schoolhouse. I leaned against the refrigerator. Dishes. I hate doing dishes worse than I hate weeding. And now the sink, the table, and the counter were stacked with dirty dishes. Where was Mom anyway? Had she and Grandpa Bush carted dishes in from the whole neighborhood? I made myself a sandwich and poured a glass of milk. It was just past 1 o'clock. If I wasn't at the schoolhouse by 3, it would prove Grandpa Bush was right. I couldn't do what I was told for one whole day. I had to keep my promise. I decided to make a game out of this last job. First, I scraped the dirty dishes. Then I put my new record on the stereo. Next, I filled the sink with hot soapy water. Then I played the record with the volume turned up. No one was at home to complain. I washed dishes in time to the music. Scrub, scrub, rinse. Scrub, scrub, rinse. The record played 3 more times before the dishes were done. I drank another glass of milk and left for the old schoolhouse. I wondered if I'd meet Davy on the way. At 3 o'clock sharp, I rode into the schoolyard. I'd just gotten off my bike when the schoolhouse doors burst open. Hurrah, John! Good for John! John did it! Almost everyone in the neighborhood was there. and they were all cheering for me. Grandpa Ray shook my hand. Allie, Trina, and Nika were there along with Ken and Pedro. I didn't see Davy. How'd you like to join the schoolhouse gang? Allie asked. Schoolhouse gang? What's that? We meet here at the schoolhouse to plan how to help people, Grandpa Ray said. We need dependable kids like you, John. Grandpa Bush grabbed my shoulder. You did a great job cleaning my garage. For once I can find everything, even my old ice cream freezer. Right then, everyone started talking about meeting at Grandpa Bush's house to make homemade ice cream. Will you come, John? Grandpa Bush asked. You bet, I laughed. I want to see how you made ice cream in the good old days. I found out later that Davy got up too late to even start the dependability test. Maybe Grandpa Ray will give him another chance. I'm sure glad I kept my promise without quitting ahead of time. Yes, and that ends our book.